Hi, it's Margo Dawson with Train Them Up for Success. In our series, Raising Culturally Sensitive Children, we've taken a couple of journeys. We've gone to Africa, we've gone to North Carolina to visit a sheep farm, and today we're going to talk about Native Americans. You know, in this journey of mine, as I've shared with you, I started looking into multicultural education and diversity because of an incident that happened to our children when they were quite young. And it propelled me to pack my kids up and do a traveling puppet show. We're talking like back 1992, when diversity and inclusion were things that we just didn't hear a lot about in our country, and we were still wrestling with it. But it was at that time when there was an explosion where people and companies and groups and even authors, we were trying to get people to embrace differences. Like when I started doing multicultural education with parents and school groups, there weren't many books reflecting people's cultures. And so at the time, I was able to buy every book I could find, including selling books. And this was one of the few that I could find on Native Americans. This book was published in the 70s, and of course, they were referred to as Indians. Well, today, you can find an incredible collection of books written by Native Americans about Native Americans. And so when you visit our website, trainthemupforsuccess.org, and you click on the tab that says Corn and Science, you will get a link to all of those wonderful books. Books written for preschoolers all the way up to 12th graders. This book, Corn is Maize, is written for kids ages 4 to 8. And basically what the book does is it talks about how Native Americans discovered corn, how they harvested the corn, what they used the corn for, how they introduced it to foreigners who came here to the Americas, and used it to help people do things in terms of just sustainability, in terms of their own life. I think for 1976, it was an incredible illustration to introduce kids to the value and the gifts that Native Americans bring to our world and to our country. They have heard of dream catchers, which is a very popular Native American artifact. We picked this up actually in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And you know, it's beautifully handmade with suede and beads. And you know, the story about the dream catcher is it's supposed to catch the good dreams and keep away the bad ones as well. Also in the Native American culture, turquoise is a very, very important stone. It's been around for years and years and years, and they've done incredible things with the stone, with the jewelry. And on the website, I'll give links about just some of the education about turquoise and why Native Americans see it as so valuable and some of the things they've written about it. Another popular artifact is this small handmade drum. And what's so beautiful about their drums is that, again, they use everything in nature. And this is a real animal skin. Of course, they've got a feather, which was dyed. And here you see the suede string that's used as well. Back years ago, they would make these drums out of hollow wood, you know, so they would maybe get some wood from a small tree and hollow out the wood and cut it up and able to make a drum. And of course, this small drum can really give some resounding sound. This is another beautiful artifact my husband bought back. He got it in North Carolina from doing some workshops with Native American communities there. And it's a beautiful, beautiful rendition of a Native American princess. And again, all of this work, this is real suede, hand beaded, even the headpiece and the feather. Of course, we've heard many stories about the Native American princess. Another very important artifact is the tomahawk. And this is a handmade tomahawk using stick, natural stick and stone. And again, we see another piece of that leather string that was used to keep the stone in place. And oftentimes these were exchanged with some of the new settlers for food and other things in exchange. So these were just a couple of artifacts that I've collected throughout the years when I would do workshops. And again, I think it's nothing like reading a story to a child and pulling out some kind of an artifact, no matter what you may even have around the house that you can just use to enhance the story. I would like for you just to recall some of these books. Again, they are online, written by Native Americans. Cradle Me, Jingle Dancer, In the Footsteps of Crazy Horse, and If I Ever Get Out of Here. These are books that span from preschool all the way up to high school. So hey, let's go inside and let's do the experiment using corn. So let's get started with our experiment today using corn. This is called the Dancing Corn Experiment. So many different fun names. And I want you to realize these are things that you probably have at home. Very simple, where you could do fun experiments right at home using corn. So what we're going to need is a glass jar. And because we're going to have a little bit of an explosion, it's best to put some kind of a plate underneath it so it won't be so messy. We're going to use 2 cups of water, a cup of vinegar, and we're going to use 2 tablespoons of baking soda. So let's get started. 2 cups of water. Now this is a pretty big cup. Let's see if my jar will take 2 cups of water. I don't know. I may have to get a bigger jar. That looks like that's about a cup. Let's see what's left. Oh, I got another cup to go. Well, we're going to try it. But you may have to use a bigger jar at home. I still have a little water left. But let's try it anyway. So to that, we're going to add our corn. And it calls for about 1/4 cup of corn. Now, if you look at these cups right here, these measuring cups, you'll see they go from the smallest to the biggest. This one is 1/4. That one's 1/3, a half, and a whole cup. What do you think 1/4 is? Well, it's this one right here. What do you think the 1/4 cup looks like? Yes, you're right. It's the smaller one. So let's use this 1/4 cup of popcorn. So this is what popcorn looks like before it's popped. Popcorn kernels. All right, so I'm going to measure. I'm going to pour my corn into the water jar. Look what happens. It falls all the way to the bottom. All right, next, we're going to add a cup of vinegar. Have you ever tasted vinegar? It's a very sour taste. We use it for so many things in my house. Cooking, even cleaning. A cup. Let's go find what's a cup. A cup is the largest one. Not that one. Not the half cup. Here it is, 1 cup. Oh, now let's look at what we've noticed already in our experiment. If I have to add a cup of vinegar to my jar of water, do you think there's going to be room? Right now, the water is at the very top. What do you think will happen if I add a cup of vinegar? It's going to all pour out. So I've got to go back and change my jar. So I went and got a bigger jar. And I'm going to add my 2 cups of water because I want to make room for, remember that other ingredient. I'm going to stop there. It says, instruction says to add 2 tablespoons of baking soda. Count with me, boys and girls. This is 1. Ooh. A little bit, and that's 2. I've added my water and baking soda, and let's just kind of stir that up a little bit, get some action going. So we've added our water and our baking soda. I'm going to just stir it up a little bit. And I've got to add 1/4 cup of uncooked popcorn kernels. This is what popcorn looks like before it's all popped up, all nice and fluffy and white. Gonna add that. Add my kernels. Next, it says to add 1 cup of vinegar. Now, let's kind of figure out, let's guess what do we think will happen after that. Or we call that, let's make a prediction. Let's predict what will happen. What do you think will happen? Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna add the vinegar. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Whoa. We've just added this vinegar And we've got all of these bubbles. It's almost like an explosion. And we're going to keep watching to see. Let's make another prediction. What do we think is going to happen next with those kernels down there? Let's keep watching. Wow, look at that. After we put in the vinegar and once the bubbles stop, it's almost as though, look what's going on with the kernels. It's like they're coming up to the top. Do you see them? It's like they're right. There goes another. Oh, there's another one. Now I see what there's some more. Look at them all coming to the top of the jar. It's like they're dancing. Look at that. All of them are coming to the top. They call this the dancing popcorn experiment. Actually, boys and girls, we're actually doing chemistry. And chemistry is just how different materials are put together and how they are made up of what's called atoms and molecules. Wow, look at them. They're still jumping and dancing around there. It's amazing what we're doing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what happens. Why is it that when we mix our baking soda, which is called bicarbonate, and vinegar, which is an acid, and how we mixed it up, it really made a term in science called carbon dioxide, which made those bubbles. And when the two come together, look at that. Do we ever get a chemical reaction? Wow, this is fun. This is an experiment that you can do at home with an adult because there's a lot of measuring and mixing. And you see, we put it on a plate, or I used a pie plate so that we wouldn't make a mess. But who would ever think that corn could be so cool in terms of what we can do with it? And as we finish our experiment, you can go to our resource page and you'll find lots of information and more fun activities to do and some really, really cool facts about corn. Here's a fresh piece right here. Let's look at what it looks like before it's hard and all dried out. You probably have seen this at your local farmer's market or in the store when you've brought fresh corn. When you take off the husk, that's what this outer skin is called, look what you get. Beautiful corn. Look at that. What color is that? You're right, it's yellow. Beautiful. So this corn is nice and firm, but it's also sweet and soft as well. And before we get it in this state, which is the hard kernels, this is what it looks like. And it's grown right from the earth. So let's talk about some of the yummy things that comes from corn. Now, we've already talked about fresh corn on the cob, and you boil this, and it's so yummy. Once corn is dry, like we saw earlier, you can pop those kernels and you can get popcorn. That's pretty good right there. And you know what? Popcorn is a nice, healthy treat. Also, when corn is ground, you get nice, soft cornmeal. And people use this to make all kinds of things. Tortillas, including yummy things like cornbread. Yes, cornbread is made with flour, cornmeal, egg, and some other ingredients. Let's see how that tastes, this good old cornbread. Delicious. I don't know about you, but I think corn is one of my favorite things. See you next time.